Hey everyone, this is Kestrelraptorial. So it is Christmas Day 2016, and I know I promised over the year that I'd show you guys my Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks, my personal customized decks that I use in casual play with my friends, siblings, and also tournaments. Now, none of these are Tier 1 decks, but they're the ones I've built that represent me, that I put a lot of heart and soul into. And so, here they are. Gonna start with my Pokemon deck. In these light electric blue sleeves. So, to begin with, the energy cards. I'll show you what kind of deck it is. So the Pokemon deck that I have built is a fire and water deck. Focuses on fire and water Pokemon. And the energy cards that I use, I have Burning Energy and Splash Energy. These are special energy cards. I was going to get 4 of them, 4 copies each, but I use colorless and some other types just splashed into my deck. So the special energies for each element actually can only be attached to Pokemon of that element. So in decks that splash a couple other types in, I would really put 2 each, not 4. So I got, 2 Burning Energy, in addition to the basic Fire Energy cards for my fire types, and 2 Splash Energy to go with my basic water energy cards. And I also put in 2 double colorless energy, because I do have some beat sticks that require a lot of energy. So, including the special energies, 12 each of fire and water, plus the 2 double colorless energies, is 26 energy cards. That's a bit more than most decks need, but that's where it stands right now, and I'll probably change it around a bit. So, let's see, shall I do the trainer cards next or the Pokemon next? Let's go to the Pokemon, because that's the most interesting. And they'll self-explain some of the trainers, at least I think. Okay. So, my deck is based around 2 starter Pokemon and their evolutions. The fire starter, when I pick, is Charmander. That was my Kanto starter in the trading card games and the video games. So, 3 Charmanders, 2 Charmeleon, and as far as I've been able to tell, this Charmeleon, the Charmeleon with this art is the best that's been released so far. For 1 fire energy, it deals 20 damage with the flare attack. For 3 energy, 1 fire, and 2 of any type. Raging Claws, 50 damage plus 10 more damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. And with 90 hit points, that's pretty good. It's the best Charmeleon I found so far. And this Charizard. One of those. I have not yet gotten a Mega Charizard, or Charizard EX or Mega Charizard EX. I am saving up for them, but this is the one I use right now. Almost picked up the trainers again. Okay, the water starter. Any idea on what water starter I chose? Now, when I build a deck and look for creatures, or monsters, as they're called in Yu-Gi-Oh! And some other games, my favorite kinds of animals are dinosaurs, dragons, and birds of prey. Birds being descendants of dinosaurs. So I guess those would all actually fall under, cladistically, Archosaurs. So Charmander would be an Archosaur, based on a dragon, a legendary salamander, mythical version of one, the actual baby fire dragon. And my water starter is an Archosaur as well. Totodile, the baby crocodile, my favorite Johto starter. And when I play games that feature the Johto region, I choose a Totodile and nickname it Sobek, after the Egyptian crocodile god. Sometimes I even game shark for a shiny Sobek. So, 3 Totodile, 2 Crocodile, and 1 reverse hollow foil for alligator. And I believe this is the version of Feraligatr that came in the Heart Gold, Soul Silver theme decks. I think the Feraligatr base deck was called Mind Flood. It was based around water and psychic Pokemon. I really don't use a lot of psychic Pokemon myself. Maybe Haunter and Gengar. Although I give those to my brother because he uses a Ghastly Haunter Gengar in his deck. And I am trying to build an Evolution deck with Espeon in it. But other than that, I really don't use a lot of psychic Pokemon. So I split up the Mind Flood deck and combined it with aspects of my Fire deck to make Charizard and Feraligatr theme. So, now we move on to the other Pokemon. I also want to build a deck completely centered around the Johto theme, Johto region theme. So, I guess similar to the original Johto decks that were released. The Totodile deck was a Water and Lightning long ago, so I think I'm gonna make that. Make a Water and Electric Pokemon deck and have it just centered around the Johto region. So Pokemon that will be found in the Johto region. And this is one I will definitely include. So eventually I'm also going to split up this deck and improve it, modify it. I actually have 4 Mantine. But they are different versions of Mantine. There's the Neo Genesis Water Mantine and a Delta Species Electric Mantine. Mantine is a really cute Pokemon. It's really hard to get it in the original Gold and Silver versions. I think it only appeared in Gold, and even if you're playing Pokemon Gold, I played Pokemon Silver first, so I couldn't get it right away, and it's still pretty hard to find in Gold, unless you get lucky. Anyway, I think it's cute. Now, I don't have any electric energy in my deck, which is what the electric type Mantine needs, but I use it with a particular trainer card to discard, and we'll get to that. But the Neo Genesis Water Mantine, the Undulate attack is still quite useful. Not for a Tier 1 deck, but for casual play and somewhat competitive play, it still holds up. Another Delta Species electric type that is interestingly useful in this deck because it uses any type of energy. It's a Pokemon I like to catch early in the game. Pidgey. 3 Pidgey. It took me a while to find the best Pidgeotto card. I think this is it. So, 2 Pidgeotto. Not quite my favorite Pidgeotto artwork, but I think is the best version of Pidgeotto right now for gameplay. Unless they've already released a better one and I just haven't seen it yet, but yeah, who knows. And 1 Pidgeot. A Pidgeot is based off of an osprey or maybe even a sea eagle. Takes a long time to evolve Pidgey into Pidgeot in the game, and in the games, by the time you do evolve a Pidgey into Pidgeotto and then Pidgeot, you usually have somewhat more powerful Pokemon anyway, but it's a nice addition to a team. I like to sometimes imagine Pidgeot is based off the Harpagornis eagle, but I think it would need to be a little more powerful to be an exact analog. I think Osprey's about right. And in the Johto games, when Pokemon Generation 2 came out, the Dark and Steel types were first introduced. I don't really use a lot of Dark Pokemon. Occasionally Tyranitar. Though as a pseudo-legendary, it takes quite a long time to evolve a Larvitar. And unless you Game Shark, which I have done, you can only get Larvitar late in the game anyway. So, yeah. The Pokemon, the really awesome Pokemon that can only be found late in game, I wish they could be caught early in the game, but just had to be especially unlocked or were really rare or something. I wish there was some chance of getting them early in the game, like Larvitar or Dratini. Wish there was some chance instead of none until you have almost beaten the game anyway. So I really don't use dark types. I will be putting Umbreon in the Evolution deck. But my 4 siblings and I did each choose one dark type to grab for our collections. I did choose Tyranitar, so I'll occasionally use that. And here was my steel type choice, although this card is a colorless version of it. Skarmory. This Skarmory has a Call for Family move. Search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench. Nice to grab extra Pokemon if your opponent is starting to mow you down. Can make a bit of a comeback. And an attack that deals double damage if there's a stadium card in play. And last, but probably most powerful, my Kanto legendary bird choice. Any ideas on which one it is? Articuno. I love the ice type. My favorite Pokemon type is actually the flying type. But I do love the light blue. I love wind and water and ice. And birds of prey in general. So I have collected all 3 legendary bird cards before. But Articuno is my personal favorite. So that is 24 Pokemon. Plus 26 energy is 50 cards. So I have 10 trainer cards. Show you. Start with my stadium card, which is the perfect stadium for a fire and water deck. High pressure system. This card stays in play when you play it. Discard this card if another stadium card comes into play. Okay. All stadium cards say that. Each player pays 1 energy less of any type to retreat his or her fire and water Pokemon. So this stadium card makes a fire and water deck slightly less energy expensive to play. Although there are plenty of cards now that can revive energy from the discard pile, but still very useful. When I build the water and electric Johto themed deck, I will be using the stadium card Rough Seas. I'm trying to get the angle right. Town map. Turn all of your prize cards face up. They remain that way for the rest of the game. So you can pick which prize you want when you claim one. Sometimes very useful. Two Professor's Letter. Energy grabbing cards. Here's the card that I combine with the Delta species Electric-type Mantine. And I used to have 2 of these. I keep switching between having 1 and 2 of these in my deck. I'll probably put all 4 Mantines eventually in that Johto water and electric deck. So I don't know if I'll keep this one in this deck, but for now I still have it. I really like it. I really like the artwork. Hoenn Adventurer. Discard a card from your hand. Draw 3 cards. If you discard a Delta species Pokemon, you can draw 4 instead. So that is where the Delta species come in. And the Pidgeys are Delta species as well, yes. And I also had a Delta species Flareon in my collection, and in this deck once. But all of those I like to put on the bench, whereas the Delta species Mantine I don't use because I have no lightning energy in this deck, so I combine them with this. 1. Professor Oak's Research. Shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 5 cards. The way to use this is use it when you have a hand that's not particularly going to help you, or use it when you have, just 1 or 2 cards in your hand. Then you're kind of milling your deck, and you get a lot more options to use to begin with, or to end up with. I've tried putting 2 of those in my deck, but it doesn't really work, so just 1. This will also go in the Johto themed deck, although I'll probably just buy a couple more copies of it because it really does work. Professor Elm's Training Method. It's an evolved Pokemon search card. I haven't really gotten into using the Pokeball trainer cards, and by that I mean any of the Pokeballs. Ultra Ball, Great Ball, Dusk Ball, Quick Ball. I like using the Professor cards a little more. Although my siblings like the ball cards. 1 Max Revive. Should be really useful. Funny thing is, I really haven't used it very much in games. I've drawn it before, but if I'm losing it, it has tended to not help much, and if I'm winning, I've tended to not need it that much anyway, so I don't know. I don't really want to replace it, but I might go for another option soon, because I haven't really used it that much. 1 Fisherman. Put 4 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. Nice energy revival. There's also the card, energy revival. There's also a card, energy returner, which is nice. And there's also a card that lets you put a combination of energy cards and Pokemon back into your hand. Its name is escaping me for the moment. Okay, this is really funny. It's actually the very one I'm holding. I just wasn't reading it. Super Rod. Shuffle any 3 combination of Pokemon and basic energy cards from your discard pile into your deck. Oh, back into your deck, not your hand. Oh, well. I was going to say, I'd be surprised that it wasn't energy cards and basic Pokemon. And I think if it returned it to your hand, it would be that. But since it returns to your deck, I wonder why it's important for them to be basic energy cards. Because if you're shuffling them into who knows where into your deck, who knows how long it will be before you use them again. So I don't know why it can't apply to, why it wasn't written to apply to special energy cards as well. But oh well. So that is my Pokemon deck. As it stands as of the end of the year 2016 and the beginning of the year 2017. I will continue to modify it, split it apart into other themed decks. I also want to work on a fire and metal themed deck that I will be putting my Flareon card collection in. Flareon is my favorite of the evolutions. It's my personal choice. My four siblings keep kind of slightly switching with theirs. They each have about 2 or 3 favorites. Flareon is my number 1 pick. So the Metal and Fire Energy ones, I'll be getting more Charizard cards for that. The Metal Pokemon I'll be collecting for that is, more Skarmory, the Aron line, later on an Aggron. I really like Aggron. And lots of Eevees and Flareons. Also working on the Eeveelution deck. I'll have to be buying and collecting a lot of Eevee cards. It's kind of tough to determine which Eevee card is best. I like to collect the ones that allow you to search for Eeveelutions. If I'm only using one Eeveelution, I can be a little more flexible, but I'll still probably get those. And then I'll be also building the Water and Electric Johto deck. I'll get my favorite of Ho-Oh's Legendary Beasts, the Thunder Tiger Raikou. It's my favorite. I'll also use another Articuno in it, and Lugia itself, the shiny Lugia that was just released in the theme deck. And so yeah, my favorite Kanto starter was Charmander. My favorite Johto starter was Totodile. So that is my main deck, built around my favorites. And next I'll be showing you guys my Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic the Gathering decks. So, till then!